worship you, Lord. You're so worthy of all of our praise. May our lives just be worship to you, Lord. We give you everything. We say, have your way in our hearts, Lord. Would you speak to us as we listen to your word? We love you so much, Lord. In your name, in your precious name, amen.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. Hopefully you had a great fall break. Did you eat well? Yeah. Did you shop a lot on Friday? No? So, I don't know if you know this, but today is Cyber Monday. Amazon will make 620 shipments per second today. I just heard that this morning. So, somebody spent a lot of money. Anyway, well, in the spirit of the holidays, GCBC, our coffee shop here on campus, for those of you that don't know, they have opened a new store in Roadrunner. So right down the promenade, you'll run into their new venue there, and so they want you to stop in. So for the holidays, they're going to do something very special for you, somebody here, during next Monday's chapel, which is our last chapel of the semester. It's our Christmas chapel, so we'll have some special music and be a fun time to wrap up the semester. But GCBC is going to give 3 scholarships, 2 $2,500 scholarships and a $5,000 scholarship, and it's going to be awarded in chapel next Monday. Now, the way this is going to work, for every cup of coffee or whatever you buy there to drink, they're going to give you a raffle ticket, and you have a chance to win one of those 3 scholarships. They'll be given away next Monday in chapel. So somebody's going to win big. It's not subject to the cap. You will not be given cash money. So just in case you were wondering. But that'll be next Monday. So buy all the coffee you can hold. All of that will be run through the Roadrunner store. So they want to make sure that you have a great Christmas. That'll be applied to next semester's tuition costs. So for those of you that are looking to benefit from your coffee habits, this is a way to do that. So for those of you that are on a 5-drink minimum per day, you could win big next Monday. So this is also GCU Dare Day, a Drug and Alcohol Awareness Day. You'll see right in front of the Student Union a whole setup of tables there with some activities and things to participate in. And for those of you that want to make a commitment to be aware of drug and alcohol prevention during the holidays, they're going to give you a wristband. Tomorrow night's basketball game is also going to be a celebration of that commitment as well. So they want to be sure that you participate in that. So tomorrow night at 7 p.m., we are playing Southern Illinois University right here in the arena. Thursday, our women's team is playing against University of Washington here at 7 p.m. Next Saturday night, we are playing against Louisville here in the arena. That is quite an opportunity for GCU, so we need to show up big time Saturday night. So make sure that you get your tickets sometime this week. Our speaker today is Tim Beal. Before I turn the stage over to him, I want to recognize his daughter. Last year, he was on his way to speak here in Chapel. His daughter was thinking about where she was going to go to college. She is enrolled here. So Madison's also known as Maddie. Where's Maddie? Maddie's ready. Tell Maddie hello this morning, would you? So, Tim, you've got a lot of pressure on you to make sure you don't suck this morning. So we're really excited about you coming back. So come and speak to us. Welcome Tim Beal to the stage from Cornerstone Church.
That may be my favorite introduction ever, Tim. Hey, GCU, what's up? How are we doing? That was horrible. I know you're tired and you're full because you've all eaten way too much. So try that one more time, please, just so I feel a little bit better. How are we doing? All right, that'll work. I got to throw this in real quick, just kind of go ahead and get this out so you know where we're at. I know it's drug awareness, not that y'all are talking about all that stuff. That's not why I'm here. I know you're looking going, hey, he's stoned. No, this is just kind of what God's done with me, and I'm just trying to see where it goes. So it has nothing to do with that. So quit thinking that because it's hateful. You're going to hurt my feelings. we're going to just kind of roll through these next few minutes and just kind of do some stuff. And in doing that, I only really know one way of doing this, and that's just kind of being honest and upfront and just kind of just jumping in and letting you guys a little bit into my life, which I realize may be scary for some of you, and you may need therapy afterwards, but you're in a great school for that, so talk to somebody. But if we don't do that, I don't know how to do this. So, man, I'm 46, and I turned 46 this year, and I realize that I'm about half dead now. Like, I'm halfway through life. Like, all I have to look forward to are wife beaters and, like, yelling at kids that drive too fast. That's pretty much my future. And I'm looking at my life right now thinking, this isn't at all, man, what I bargained for. I remember being a kid thinking about growing old, and I remember thinking how great being old was going to be. Dude, you get to do everything. You can stay up however late. You can go to Walmart in your underwear. You can do whatever you want when you're an adult because you're old, right? No, being old stinks, dude. It's horrible. Like, there's so much stuff that goes on with being old that I'm trying to figure out still. And then, man, 18 years ago, I became a dad, and that was the weirdest sensation ever. So now I'm sitting at a spot in life. I've got 3 kids. I'm looking back at my kids thinking, did I do everything possible to get these guys ready for where life is? And man, just being honest, no, I'm a horrible dad. I don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know if all dads are like this. I just make stuff up. And I've learned if you say it with confidence, usually your kids believe you. And so they're like, Dad, why is the sky blue? I'm like, well, because the photosynthesis of the organisms and the light fixtures. And I just start making junk up, and my son's like, oh. And then I get a note from his teachers, and he's like, I didn't tell him that. I remember, though, like the moment my kids were born, and it was so cool. Kids are ugly when they're born, and I don't know if y'all know that. And it doesn't matter how beautiful you are now. You were gross. When the moment that you were born, I was there for all 3, and I was there the moment that they entered into this planet. And it's the grossest thing in the world. Men, don't do that. Just mental note, write that down. You don't need that. Just wait till, don't. But I remember sitting there, and my oldest is 18. I remember them, like her being born, and I remember looking at her and thinking, dude, why is her head all pointy? What's the matter with, why is she screaming? Does she stop? Can we put her back? What is this? How does this end? And this is how good of a dad I am. This is how I got my 18-year-old daughter ready for college. Because, right, you guys are moving here, and Tim was just telling me some of you guys, a ton of you are from California. Your parents, yeah. Go Dodgers. A bunch of us, yes, I'm hugging you right now. This is me getting my daughter ready for college. Like, I'm trying to give her that word of advice, like, hey, this is the best that I got for you. This is no lie. This is what I told my daughter walking into GCU the beginning of this year. I'm like, hey, I'm way too pretty for prison, so don't do anything that's going to get me thrown in jail. That's it. Like, I didn't know what else to tell her. Like, I have nothing else to give her that's going to help her with life other than that. So that's what I kind of kicked her out of our house and moved her onto campus with. My son, he'll be 15 in January, and right now he wants a unicycle. I don't know why. He's about to be 15, so he's starting to realize that girls, aren't stupid, and that he likes girls, and so he's coming to me with all this advice, and I don't know what to tell him. I mean, I've been married 23 years, and I still have no clue what you guys think, because y'all are really screwed up. Like, ladies, y'all are just jacked. Like, there's something that shifts in your brain that doesn't shift in normal brains, and I got nothing for him. So he's coming to me, and all I know to tell him is like, hey, a unicycle's not gonna help. Like, that's it. So I'm not gonna be a grandpa. I don't know what's gonna happen. And then I've got an 11-year-old who's playing 6th grade volleyball. She's a beautiful little girl. Dude, she's so funny. And all I know to tell her about 6th grade volleyball, I don't know anything about volleyball, so I'm just like, I don't know, if you score a point, talk trash. Talk noise. And if you can get like a mean mug somebody, like if you can just get in and just be like, and make that grunt noise every now and then. So I've got a 6th grade daughter who can't serve overhand, who's underhand serving the ball, mean mugging other kids, being like, what up now, sucker? And she's like, and I'm like, that's my baby. I'm at a stage in life, and man, just to be real, I'm at a stage in life where I'm like, this isn't what I hoped for right now. Like, this isn't what I signed up for, God. I thought, like, I feel like somebody really, they hosed me when they told me about Jesus. They told me, man, if I ask Jesus into my life, everything is gravy. Like, it just is smooth. Like, you poop butterflies, and everything is just awesome forever. And then you grow old, and everything is just easy. And I'm at a stage right now where it's not. Dude, I'm trying to figure out how to get kids through college. I'm trying to figure out how to get my son through high school. I'm trying to figure out how to stay married and not tick my wife off so she kicks me out. I'm trying hard to work as a pastor. I wanted to be in youth ministry forever, and I realized I'm too old to do youth ministry because my body's like, hey, you can't do that anymore. And so now I'm ministering more to college students and more adults, and I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, and I'm at a spot where I'm looking at life going, this isn't what I signed up for. I don't know if you're there. I'm guessing this because I remember when I went to college, I remember thinking, man, it's going to be different, right? I remember thinking, as soon as I get on campus, everything's going to be better. I made these stupid decisions back home, but I'm going to a new place now where nobody knows me, so I've got a brand new life. I remember thinking, man, I can come in and everything's going to be smooth. Everything will be easy. Everything will be different. I've got a fresh slate. Man, I can start completely over again. And now you're a few months in, and I'm guessing that some of you are like, this isn't what I signed up for. Like, this is the same garbage, just with different scenery. Like, I've still got this baggage. I still have people doing this. I still have this in my life. And it's not maybe what you signed up for. If you've got a Bible, jump with me to Matthew. There's a story in Matthew 11 where this guy, Matthew, writes about a friend of his named John. And I don't know if you do this, but when I'm at a spot in life where I'm like, man, I don't know what to do, I go to this book because I found that there's stuff in this that actually is helpful. It's not just good reading when you can't sleep, or like if you're on a plane, or if you're trying to pick up a girl. There's actually stuff in this that will help your life if you'll apply it. And so whenever I'm at a spot where I'm like, I don't know what to do with anything anymore, I go to this and look, and I try to find things. And Tim, before I get in, dude, you said I would have a clock, and I don't have one, so that means I can just go forever. So, dude, sweet action. Y'all are missing your next class. Hey, so Matthew 11, starting in verse 1, it's going to pick up where Matthew's talking about this dude named John, and he's filling John in, and well, he's sharing John's story with us and letting us know just this small window in John's life. So Matthew 11, verse 1, it starts with this. It says, after Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and preach in the towns of Galilee. So check this. You've got Jesus with his disciples, and right now they're probably sitting on a beach. They're in San Diego, the waves, whoosh, waves are crashing in. Jesus is probably like throwing a football with some of them, hacky-sacking. They got a bonfire. They're doing s'mores. They've got all this stuff happening, and it's like, it's ministry 101. You've got Jesus speaking life into his disciples. He's talking to them and sharing life with them. And these guys, man, think of that for just a second. Jesus is teaching. These guys do their notes everywhere. They just can't get enough of that. And so Jesus is on the beach hanging out with his friends, sharing ministry and preparing them. Verse 2. It says, when John heard in prison what Christ was doing, what Christ is doing. This is John the Baptist. And so check this for a minute. Remember John the Baptist? Remember what his job was? He was the front runner for Jesus. He was the setup pitcher to the greatest pitcher to ever play the game. Like his job was to come in and to get the world ready for Jesus. This is John the Baptist he was picked by God himself to be the person who goes out and tells the world that Jesus is coming. This is the dude that would go out and he's like, man, the guy that you've prayed for, the dude that you've hoped for, the guy that we've been, since we were little kids, we just dreamed would come back, that'll free us. He's coming, he's almost here. He's almost here, man, get ready. And dude, he's killing it. Like he's doing a great job. He's doing such a good job that people are looking at him going, are you the Messiah? And he's like, no, back the truck up. Like I can't even tie his shoes. Like he's coming and he's so much better than me. It's not me, but man, get ready, he's coming. This is that John the Baptist. And he's in jail. He's in prison because he stood up to King Herod, because Herod was at a time in his life, again with women. Ladies, y'all are sorry. There's some stuff with you guys. He's at a spot, John's in jail because Herod fell in love with his brother's wife and didn't see that it was nasty for him to try to take her out and to do stuff with her. And so John stood up and was like, dude, you're filthy. No, this isn't, you're a redneck. Quit that. You can't do that. That's not what normal people do. You shouldn't do that. So it really ticked off Herod, and it ticked off his wife. And so John is sitting in prison, most likely going to die really soon. He most likely is handcuffed or chained to guards, and he's sitting most likely in a dirt cell, and he hasn't eaten. Probably he hasn't had water. He's probably really, really tired because he's got two men chained to him, and he's sitting in prison. And he hears about Jesus and the other disciples out on the beach. I can't help but think that John in this moment is looking at life going, that's really not what I thought about when you said, hey, do you want to go and be the front runner? Like, do you want to go and tell people? And we don't have this now much because it's not that common. But one of the good things about being old is you get to see some cool stuff. Back when I wasn't old, I went to B.B. King, sickest concert in the world. I don't know if any of you guys are musicians or if you love music, but B.B. King is just, dude, holy cow. Amazing. I remember going into the concert, and BB's about to come out and play, and so it's got this music, it's all flashing, and this dude just comes out, and he is fly. He's got this silk, he looks like Prince. Hair's all slicked back, he's got these big chains, he's got this silk suit on, and he's all, Mr. King, BB King, and he's just going crazy, and I'm white, so I can't do it. But he's going nuts, doing the splits, coming back up, King of the world, the King of the blues, Mr. BB King. And he's got, there's no lie, he's got handfuls of gold necklaces. So weird. And he's just walking around the audience finding girls, and he's just giving ladies like gold chains. And he's just walking around going, the King of the world, the King of the blues, Mr. King, Mr. BB King. Splits, and then he come back up. And then he's doing that, and then all of a sudden he ends, and BB walks out and sits in this chair and just does what BB King did better than anybody else on the planet, just starts going crazy on the guitar. And it was one of the coolest moments, and this dude got us so hyped and so ready. That's John the Baptist. He's gone out and he's worked up this, man, I'm going to get everybody ready for Jesus. I'm going to tell them that they're coming. Jesus is coming. The Messiah is going to be here. The dude that we've waited for. He's here. And now he's in prison. And everybody else is on the beach. I don't know if this sits with anybody else. Maybe it's just me and this is therapy. I can't tell you the number of times as a pastor even where I've sat back and I thought, really, God? This is my walk right now. Like, why can't I be on the beach? Like, this is what I'm doing? Because I heard everything got better. When does that happen? I know it's Thanksgiving. Maybe, are you on a break? Did you take a nap? I know you slept through the Cowboy game or they wouldn't have won. So how does this work? I don't know if this catches you, but John's sitting in a spot where he's like, man, what's happened? Look at the end of verse 2. So it says, so while he heard in prison that Christ was doing, he sent his disciples. And he sent, verse 3, to ask him, are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else? John's sitting there, and I don't know if you do this, I don't know if it's just me, but John's sitting there in a moment, and he's asking his disciples to go ask Jesus, hey, are you really the Messiah? Are you really the one? Because if you're not, like, should I expect somebody else? Because I've been telling people you're coming, and if you're not him, I'm going to look pretty stupid, so should I change it to somebody else? Are you really the one? And again, I don't know if this sits with any of you. I don't know if you've had that moment where things just aren't what you thought they would be. And you had a plan for what was going to happen, and it didn't just go the way that you thought it should. And things aren't as easy as they're supposed to be. And most of the time, if we're good Christians, we hide this, and we would never say this in public, because when people ask you how you're doing, if you're a good Christian, you got to come back with oh, I'm great, dude, how are you? Because that's what we say. But honest would come up and say, man, there's some moments where I've looked at God and thought, are you really it? This isn't what I bargained for. The brochure definitely said something different. Like, I'm pretty sure that old lady in Sunday school that used to give me, like, candy, she said if I trusted you with my life, everything would get better. And that's not where I'm at right now. So John sends his friends. He's like, man, go ask him. Dude, are you really the one? Or should we expect someone else? Verse 4. Jesus replies, he says, go back and report to John what you hear and see. He said, the blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor. You get what Jesus is saying here. This is the advice I want to give you, because honestly, I was trying to think of what can I say to you. Probably 99.9% of you are smarter than me. You're already at a spot in life that you've learned more about college, you've learned more about Jesus, probably in the Bible, just because this is what you're doing, and you're there. What can I say to you? I want to give you the same thing that Jesus sent back to John. If you're at a spot right now, which there's enough of us in this room that I'm going to guess there's at least somebody in there other than me that's sitting in a moment in life thinking, this is not what I bargained for. God, are you real? What are you doing? Did I do it right when I asked you in my life? I mean, I prayed. Did I not say amen? I mean, if you don't hang up, does it still count? How does this, if you're in that spot, can I give you the same advice that Jesus gave John? He says, go back and report to John what you see and hear. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor. Jesus is telling John, man, remember who I am. Remember the things that I've done. King David said to go back and remember the joy of my salvation. Jesus is telling us in this moment, if we get in a spot in life where we don't know what to do, we don't know how to move forward, we don't know really what's next, go back and remember who he is. If you've asked Jesus into your life, sometime in your life, and you're here in this room right now, remember that moment that conversation took place. And I don't know what yours was like. I remember feeling the weight of the world, like I had this really fat dude sitting on my shoulders just pushing me down, and I tried so hard to be religious, and I tried so hard to prove to people that I love Jesus, and I tried so hard to be perfect, and all I did was screw up, and I was so dejected and so just done. And then me and Jesus actually met. And I had that moment, man, where I trusted him with my life, and it was like all of that weight was lifted off of me. Remember those moments. I remember sitting in a church in the back of a roller skating rink in one of the locker rooms because they had roller hockey, and I remember praying for this guy who had cancer, and I remember him coming back the next week saying, man, I don't know what to do, the cancer's not there. And I remember thinking, that's weird, and this guy going, no, it's not, we prayed about it. And I remember that moment of remembering what God has done. I remember the peace that I found in Jesus. I remember the joy that I found in Jesus when it didn't make sense. I'm remembering the things that I've watched God do in my life. And that's what Jesus is telling us in this moment. When you get in a spot in life, and maybe it's not now, maybe your world is perfect and you've got great roommates that make you breakfast and they actually clean their room and it's awesome and you love life right now. You get that there's gonna come a time where you really just kind of doubt that things are real. Remember who Jesus is. Remember what he's done. Remember what he said. Man, remember the truths about who he is. Remember that he's in love with you, not because of you, but because of him. Remember that it has nothing to do with you. And as circumstances come up and start to take place, remember that circumstances are just that. They're circumstances. Circumstances don't really tell you, that's not a good gauge of how much God loves you. Circumstances are circumstances. And sometimes they're because we're dumb and we do stupid things. And sometimes they happen just because this world is horrible and it's not perfect. And circumstances are just that. They're circumstances. And Jesus is telling us, man, remember who I am. Remember what I've done. Remember what you've seen in me. Remember those things that happened in your youth groups back home. Those moments where you really saw God show up. Remember when God showed up in different areas of your life and different things in your life, and you know that it had to be Jesus because it couldn't be anybody else. Remember those things. Jesus goes on to say this in verse 6. He says, blessed is the man who doesn't fall away on account of me. And honestly, as I was studying for this and I looked at that verse, I thought that's kind of screwed up. What does that mean? Blessed is the man who doesn't fall away because of me. Jesus is like, blessed is a person who doesn't back out of this life because of Jesus. That messed with me just a little bit. So I started looking at it, and this is what y'all are smarter than me, so help me. I think this is what Jesus is saying. When life hits and it's not what we expected, and because we're so much smarter than God, we have a better idea of what life should be like. Blessed is the man who still trusts Jesus and doesn't fall away because life isn't what he thought it should be. Blessed is the man who doesn't fall away because of me. And honestly, I wish I could say that when Jesus sent this back, that these guys went into John the Baptist and they went into his prison and John was set free. And there was this miracle where John walks out, but John gets beheaded in just a couple days. You see that remembering who Jesus is didn't change John's circumstances, but I think it did give John hope. Me talking to you, you already learned this. I'm not smart enough to give you anything that's going to change your circumstances. I can make you laugh a couple times and hopefully a couple more times, but that's all I got. I can't give you something that's going to change your circumstances, but I can give you the God that's going to give you hope. And if you'll remember who he is and you'll fall back into those moments when the world isn't what we think it should be, we have peace. If you don't know Jesus and you're just in here maybe to take a nap, that's why we're so screwed up to you as Christians. That's why you look at us and you're like, dude, you're an idiot. Yeah, we really are. That's how we have peace when we shouldn't have peace. That's why we have hope when we shouldn't have hope. That's why we get joy, man, when we should be sad. It's because of remembering who Jesus is. I want to leave you with this, man. The smartest dude that ever lived, his name's Solomon. next to Jesus, smartest dude that ever walked the planet. He would just say stuff, and he had like 1,000 wives or something ridiculous, so he had kids everywhere. And Solomon would walk in, kind of like Dr. Seuss, but smarter, and just start saying things to his kids. And he would just say stuff, and it was just wisdom. And I don't know if you have a grandparent or somebody like that in your life. I had a peepaw that would do that to me. I don't know what his real name was, because we called him peepaw, or my mom would smack us. And so we just were like peepaw. And peepaw would say stuff, and you're like, whoa. Peepaw was old. Like, he was never young. He was an old cotton farmer in New Mexico. And I never remember Peepaw being old. I mean, he was always old. And he never really spoke much, but when he did, it was really good. My Meemaw, all she did was sit in the chair, and she would watch wrestling and baseball, which was awesome. And so I remember going to my grandparents' house, and I would watch wrestling and baseball with my grandma, and then Peepaw would come in after working all day, and he would sit in his chair, and it's usually just like one sentence a day, but he would say something so smart that it would screw up wrestling and baseball, because you're sitting there watching it going, what is he talking about? Like, in the sun too long? What happened to Peepaw? Why is he? And he would just say stuff. Solomon's like that. In Proverbs 24, Solomon says this, and he says this, I think, to a bunch of his grandkids. And I just picture him kind of in a sitting like this, where he's sitting here, and all of his grandkids are sitting out in front of him, and it probably was about as many as you, because he had 9 million wives. And he's sitting there, and he leaves them this nugget of wisdom. He says this to him in Proverbs 24. He says, for though a righteous man falls 7 times, he rises again. A righteous man falls 7 times. You get that no matter how much we love Jesus and how good things are going, all of us at some point in life fall. And Solomon's saying, man, for a righteous man falls 7 times, the characteristic of a righteous man is simple. He stands back up. We have this saying in my house, it's if fall down 7, stand up 8. The righteous man stands back up, and then he says, but the wicked are brought down by calamity. You get, everybody gets knocked down. Not everybody gets back up. Again, I don't know where you're at this morning. I don't know if you're in a spot where life is great, man, then keep being in practice of remembering who God is. Maybe you're in a spot where life is just hard, and maybe getting in here today was difficult for you. Get back in the habit of remembering who God is. Stop focusing on circumstances and start focusing on God, and remember who he is and what he's done. Go back to those moments where you first talked to Jesus and you first had that interaction with him. Remember who Jesus is. I want to leave you with 3 little, hopefully, nuggets of Solomon-style wisdom that hopefully you can take out of here, because if we just talk and are educated, then really we're not that much better than before. But if we're educated and we put it into application, then it changes us. There's 3 things that I think we can do. 1 is we can stop dwelling on circumstances and we can start focusing on Jesus. 2, we can stop trying to do this on our own. You're built for community, which is part of the reason GCU exists, is to give you these communities and small groups. Stop trying to do it by yourself. It doesn't help. You're not fooling anyone. Get in a group of people that are going to love on you and support you. And then 3rd is this: trust in the truth that Jesus really does love you, and it has nothing to do with you. And this next sentence may be why you're here right now. God is not disappointed in you. He doesn't hate you. He doesn't wish that you were more like your brother. He doesn't wish that you would stop doing stupid things. He doesn't wish that you had a better voice. He doesn't wish that you were a little bit taller or a baller, or if you had a girl you would call. He doesn't wish any of those things. He is madly and deeply and passionately in love with you. And since your very first breath, since the moment you entered into this planet, his desire has been community with you. And it has never been about you, because it's always been about him. Remember who he is, and remember what he's done, and remember the joy, that moment that was lifted. And when things get sketchy, which they will, go back to remembering who Jesus is. Let me pray for us. God, thank you for today. Jesus, I thank you for grace. I thank you for loving us. God, I thank you for your love for me personally, not having anything to do with me. God, I thank you for the fact that even though I'm a screw up and pretty much spend most of my time telling you I'm sorry, that you still for some reason love me. God, for my friends that are in front of me right now, Jesus, would you help us? Would you help us to understand just a little bit deeper today the truth that you are madly and deeply and passionately in love with us. And even though we've screwed up and we're maybe not in a spot in life where we thought we should be, it doesn't change who you are. So God, would you help us today just to walk in what it means to love you and to understand what it means to be loved by you. And when the world hits, God, would you help us to start putting into practice the art of remembering the things that remind us of you, the things that you've done, the different parts of our past, God, the things that you've shown up and showed us who you are. And Jesus, would you continue to use us? And God, if today, man, if someone doesn't know you, would you just let that conversation start and help someone maybe for the first time to realize that you really do love them? God, use us today for your glory and for your honor. And God, let the world be better because of who you are through us. In your name, amen. Amen.
Tell Tim thank you. I got to fix one announcement. The game is not tomorrow, it's tonight. Tonight. So in case, don't send me another text. It's tonight. So those that are going to flip the gym need us to leave a little bit quicker today than normal. So thank you for being here. We'll see you next Monday.